Hello and welcome everyone to yet another one of my The Flash Season 4 videos. Alright, so I've got one more theory in me as to what the 2056 message meant, the warning part against trusting Barry, and all that good stuff. And it's all about Godspeed, who's currently one of the expected B-type speedster villains a lot of people are expecting to see come into action on the 4th season of The Flash, along with an arc that would focus on the Speedster Academy. Now I know some might disagree with my theory or theories on the topic and have expressed that in the comments to my previous videos. I respect that. After all, it's a theory, so it's definitely open for debate. There's nothing definitive about a theory. But anyway, this is probably gonna be my final video on the topic, however I'm gonna use it in more of a multi-purpose manner. I'll start off by announcing, and as promised, the first giveaway I'm doing on What the Geek. Then I'll move on to answering a few questions that have been raised in some of the comments to my previous videos on the topic, summing up all that makes my theory on the warning in the 2056 message not being against Savitar viable, consolidating all my arguments for the theory that are made across various videos in their comments. I will also go to discussing who Godspeed happens to be in the comics, including a quick discussion of his origin, and finally moving on to how the 2056 message could end up being about him. Let it be known though that my favorite theory on the topic so far happens to be the one about DeVoe the Thinker and an all-out meta-human war in Central City. Now I didn't want to mention this on my latest Arrow video in order not to sound like I'm trying to buy people's subscriptions with the promise of a giveaway, but I did want to do this whole giveaway thing for the first time once I hit the 3,000 subscriber mark. And having achieved that, I'd like to thank you all for the support you've given me so far. I'd also like to thank you for all your subscriptions, likes, comments, engagements with my videos. And I'm not going to be all hypocritical thanking everyone anyway. I'm speaking here of the decent, smart comments that has so far enriched the conversation and at some point had me make new videos, even suggesting your theories and discussing them. I'm talking about people like Reverend Mooney, Ubermensch, Monty Marie 88, Reverse Viewer 296, G Taylor 1229, Mike Soika, Eobard Thon, Bobby V, Jason Aguirre, among a lot of others. I'm sorry, but these are just names off the top of my head. If I start mentioning every single name I've enjoyed having a conversation with in the comments to my videos, I wouldn't get done with them. But with that being said, I didn't get any suggestions on what the giveaway should be all about, so I decided to try and do 2 of them over the course of July for 2 subscribers in order to utilize it in thanking as many people as I could. Let's just call it a small thank you to 2 subscribers instead of 1, with a very small $15 Amazon gift card token of appreciation to each. Now, in order to be eligible for the draw on this first giveaway, all you need to do is be a subscriber and drop me a relevant comment or multiple comments on the subject matter of all my DC videos over the course of the upcoming week, and before I announce a winner. And rest assured, I'll be doing more of these giveaways as I go. And accordingly, I'd like to remind you that it's much appreciated if you drop me a like if you end up liking the content of this video, and if you subscribe if you want to see more of my The Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow videos. I would also like to remind you to click the bell-shaped icon underneath this video to enable notifications if you'd like to be informed of my new videos as they come online. Now, I apologize for this giveaway part of the video taking too long, but I had to thank you guys for your help and support throughout the past period. But let's quickly discuss the theory this whole video is based on. Now, while all of us are entitled to our views on the 2056 message, and while some of us might see that Cisco's conclusions on the topic were definitive because the show said so or the showrunner said so, there are so many reasons to believe otherwise. Number 1, the argument about the message being a warning against Savitar is flawed at best, considering you cannot warn against someone you don't know about. You cannot warn against someone whose identity is unknown to you. That's easy to prove as well, considering 2024 Barry had no clue what Savitar's identity was. So logically speaking, what would make the 2056 Barry any different when Savitar has been imprisoned for good in the Speed Force with supposedly no way out? Simply put, up until the point where the 2056 message was sent, Barry had no clue who Savitar was, both his future and present versions. The change in the timeline that led to him finding he was this time Remnant happened post the sending of the message and Barry's journey to 2024. Number 2, why would Barry warn of someone whose face is scarred throughout his tenure as a villain? If you ask me, that's kind of a very distinguishing feature. Number 3, Rip Hunter does not seem to have met Savitar at any point in time. In fact, he was not even there for the Dominator attack. Now that kind of raises a very important question. Why would a future Barry who lived throughout it all warn Rip against something he never met in events he will not be around for and inform him he would be there for it? It does not really add up. As a result of these 3 points I just mentioned, there is 1 or 2 reasons that I could think of that had the showrunners throw Cisco's deductions at us by the end of the 3rd season. The first is, and as I mentioned before, all about them digging a hole for themselves with the message and wanting to throw any reasoning at us to sweep it under the rug. If that were to be the case, then they assumed there that it would go unnoticed as we focus on the bigger shit at hand, that being the reveal of who Savitar happens to be. Now the second possible reason is all about them throwing us off until we get a future reveal in more of a surprise, we got you kind of way, and has all these theory videos about alternate possibilities to the meaning behind the message. Now I hope that cleared my point of view in more of a consolidated manner that was otherwise more spread across several videos and comments to those videos. But moving on to Godspeed. Now Godspeed's name in the comics is August Hart, a colleague of Barry's within the CCPD. The arc of August starts off with his brother murdered by a criminal who managed to walk away due to insufficient evidence due to the destruction of Barry's lab when it was hit by lightning, so pretty much around the time Barry got his powers. Now later on down the road, August here confronts this gang, the Black Hole, and realizes they were behind the murder of his brother. Now as they shoot at him and before the bullets get to him, he ends up struck by lightning from a Speed Force storm similar to the one we watched in the finale of the 3rd season, striking people all over Central City, and has the expectation the villain would soon appear on the show. Now to cut a long story short, the man instantly becomes a speedster, thus saving himself and knocking out his shooter before Barry ends up revealing himself to him as the Flash. And right after that incident, August creates his own costume, becomes Barry's crime-fighting speedster partner in Central City, while working on avenging his brother by solving his murder mystery. Now later on down the road, once more another speedstorm hits. Barry and August then start bringing in all these speedsters as criminals. This arc, however, leads into the Speedster Training Academy arc that Dr. Mina DeVoe started in the comics to help all these people with newly found speedster powers control those powers and do good with them. And that is about the time when Barry decides to support her initiative. Only when he goes out on a quick recruitment tour with her of all these new speedsters, they come back to find all the speedsters dead, with August injured and claiming one Godspeed attacked them all, killed them all, and took their speed. But it is soon after that DeVoe realizes he was behind it all and confronts him before he kills her along with 2 other speedster recruits and pretty much sucks the speed out of them for his own gain. But that's as well when one of the speedsters manages to escape and informs Barry of the truth about August before Barry confronts him, only for him to admit he is Godspeed and that he has decided to play judge, jury, and executioner. And the rest from here is all about his villainous mischief up until the point where he's taken down by Barry and Wally. Now in terms of abilities, Godspeed, just like Barry, has his super speed besides his ability to create cyclones by spinning his arms quickly enough. As clearly indicated by the aforementioned origin arc of his, he could siphon speed out of other speedsters at the cost of both his own injury and the death of the speedsters he siphons it from. He as well possesses an ability similar to the one I discussed in an earlier video when it comes to Impulse, which is the creation of a clone of himself, allowing him to be at 2 places at the same time. The only downside to that ability when it comes to Godspeed is that the speed force within him is then split between both him and his clone. But finally, let's discuss why the 2056 warning message could possibly be about Godspeed. We did watch the Speed Force storm at the very end of the 3rd season, which indicates they might not just introduce Godspeed, but they might as well introduce Speedster Academy. We still have no confirmation on such introductions of either the character or the Speedster Academy, and we would have no idea how the show would introduce them if they decide to. But that also means that they could play around with the character and his powers, maybe amplify his power of cloning himself into creating more than just the 2 clones, making him an army of his own. They could also build his villainous alter ego in such a way that he's not working alone, but rather partners with some Central City's metahumans. But in all cases, whether he could be a one-man army of his own clones, or if he were to have metahuman partners in crime, if we combine either possibilities with the speedster killing spree all over Central City, it would definitely be a war that Barry might need help with. Besides that, Godspeed is a decently major villain in the comics and would deserve more than just a simple and small arc on the Flash. So if the show was to address the comic book character over the course of its 4th season, I would assume that they would at least make him the villain over the course of a 3 to 4 episode arc. Such a prolonged arc might as well end up being the show's crossover event with the rest of the Arrowverse shows. Think about it, based on the story I just mentioned, this is exactly the kind of reason Barry would end up asking Rip not to trust anyone, not even himself. August Hart, as someone Barry would vouch for, has creating trust in the guy with everybody else who in turn trusts Barry. That would all actually fit the profile. There would be a war waged in Central City against all these new speedsters being picked and killed off one after the other. If Godspeed was to be able to create more than just the one clone of himself on the show, or if he had metahuman partners or a mix of both, it would definitely be something that Barry might need help with, especially with Godspeed being possibly a few steps ahead at all times, being right there next to Barry and all. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it might not be the top theory there. The DeVoe theory still beats it to the punch, but it's definitely not the worst theory out there on the topic. But with that being said, I hope I finally managed to come back to you with those other videos I've been wanting to work on for a while. But until I do, let me know in the comments what you think of this theory and the possibility that Godspeed is the reason behind Barry sending that message. Let me know as well how you'd rank the three theories, them being DeVoe, Godspeed, and the Thanagars. You can also drop me a comment if there are any specific Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Defenders videos you want me to upload over the upcoming period. But until I see you next, thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.